Hey, welcome to a new lesson. Now, we're on After Effects now, and I'm going to import all the files. Remember that I'm going to share all these files with you. Select Import Multiple Files, and let's grab all of our Illustrator files. I have the background, and remember that we have 4 versions of the robot, one with a broom, one with a dust cleaner, one with a vacuum cleaner, and one with a water can. So take all of them, should be 5 files, and import as composition retain layer sizes. Now click on import. This may take a little while, and this window will open again, but just click on done. And now we have all the files. We have the background, we have the robot with the broom, the dust cleaner, vacuum cleaner, and water can. And we have all the layers grouped on these folders. Now, first, instead of creating a new composition, we're just going to drop the background composition to our timeline because I want this background to be the main composition. Okay, now we have our background, and you can see that we have some layers here, which are these leaves, because when the robot comes with the broom, he will, of course, sweep all these leaves. Okay, now it's time to select our first robot. You can see on this animation that the first one is the robot with the water can. Okay, so now we're going to take this composition, the robot water can composition, and we're going to drop it here on this point. Make sure that it makes sense here on the composition. It should be in this place. Okay, and now we're going to open this composition, and in fact we're going to open all the compositions of the robot, and I'm going to show you how we're going to rig this character, because it will be different than the previous character. So open up this composition, and you will have this. You can see it. We have the head, we have the right arm, right hand, right shoulder, and we have also the drops of water and the legs. So for this character rigging, we're not going to use the puppet pin tool, because as I told you, we won't need this rubbery feeling that we created on the character, on the boy that was stretching, because that character made sense that the rubbery effect take place on that body, because of course it was a human. But in this case we have a robot, so the movement should be different, and that's why we don't need puppet pin tool. In fact, we're going to use the Duik plugin again, but with no bounds. So the first thing that we're going to do, first, let's do something very simple here on the timeline. We're going to color all the parts of the body in different tones so that we don't lose anything. For example, for the left leg, I'm going to take the 3 layers, and I'm going to color them dark green. The right leg will be sandstone. For the left arm, we have the left hand here, left arm and left shoulder. You can see that they are a little 2 layers apart, and that's because I need this left hand to be on top of the water can so that we can see it, because otherwise if I do this, this wouldn't make any sense. So that's why I place this layer here. Okay, so take the left arm and let's color this cyan, and for the right arm let's color this fuchsia. Okay, now everything is colored, and that will make it easier to identify all the layers. So the next step is to change the anchor point on all the layers. For example, this tide, you can see that if we rotate this tide here, it rotates from the center. So this won't work for me right now, so I'm going to change this anchor point with the pan behind tool, and I'm going to take this anchor point and place it here on this part, right on the hip, because I want the movement to be like this, because that's how the human body moves and how a normal body moves. In this case, this robot should move as human as possible. Okay, we are set with the left thigh. Now grab your left leg, which is this one, and place the anchor point with the pan behind tool. Place the anchor point here. Now remember these steps because we're going to repeat this on all of our compositions. Take now the left foot and place, in this case we're going to place the anchor point here on the ankle. Now we're going to do the same for the right part of the legs. This anchor point on the hip, this one on the knee, and this one on the ankle. Now let's go with the arms. In this case, the anchor point should be here right on the joint between the body and the shoulder. And this is what is going to make the movement looks like this, like it's a normal robot movement. Now on the arm, the anchor point should be here on the elbow. And for the hand, should be here on our wrist. Okay, now finally the left hand, arm and shoulder. We can solo these layers so that we can see it better. Now take the shoulder and place the anchor point here on the joint on the body. For the left arm, should be here on the elbow, and for the left hand should be here. Alright, now we're set with the anchor points. Now it's time to actually rig this character. Let's open the Juic plugin. Remember that you have to go to Window and select Juic. Let's wait for it to open. Okay, now we have our window here. Let's make it a little bit shorter. Okay, now let's begin with the right leg. We're going to take all these layers and we're going to parent them accordingly. For example, the right foot will be attached to the leg. This foot will be attached to this leg. So we're going to take the whip and attach this to the leg. Now the leg should be attached to the thigh. So I'm going to parent them here. And finally, the thigh should be attached to the body. So this foot attached to this one, to this leg, the leg attached to the thigh, and the thigh attached to the body. Now, grab all these layers in the right position, first the foot, then the leg, and then the thigh. And now, instead of doing the same thing as before, that remember that we created some bones, then some controllers, and then some IK. Now this time we're going to click on auto rig because it's going to be easier and we have a lot of rigging to do, so this will save us a lot of time. We're going to click on auto rigging. Now here you will find this You can see full character, back leg, tail, spine, and front leg and arm. Now select front leg and arm, and now this will appear. We have the front leg auto rig, and you can see the shape of this leg. So this is divided here through colors. You can see that the darker yellow is shoulder blade, clavicle. The medium yellow is arm, humerus, shoulder. The light yellow, ulna, radius, forearm, elbow, and the blue is the carpus, palm, and hand. So we're going to use these three ones: the dark yellow, the light yellow, and the blue one. So what we're going to do is first, in this one, click on none. Now all we have to do is to select the layer that will be this part of the body. For example, for this upper part of the leg, which is this color, you can see this is the same color. We're going to click here, and this will show all the layers that we have selected. As we selected these three layers, we're just going to see these three layers here. So for example, here the humerus should be this thigh. So I'm going to select the right thigh. Now for this part, the light yellow, I'm going to select the right leg, which is this one. And for this blue color, I'm going to select the right foot. So right foot, here you can see it's blue. The light yellow, which is this one, is the right leg, and the darker yellow, which is this color, is the right thigh. Now this may seem a little bit complicated, but after we have done this several times, you will get the hang of it. So click OK, and now this plugin automatically rigged all these parts of the body. So now we have on the timeline, we have this layer. Just don't touch this layer, this is lock layer, and we have a controller for the right foot. Now if I click here and move this, you can see that we have movement, and instead of being a rubbery movement, you can see that it has some joints, so that if we move this foot, this happens, which is exactly what we're going after. Okay, now let's repeat the same process for the left leg. We have all the anchor points on the right place. Now just take all the parts of the left leg and click again on front leg arm, and remember, this one will be on none. The second one will be the thigh, the light yellow will be the left leg, and the blue one should be the left foot. Click OK, and we have this controller. Now this is acting weird because it looks like the robot has something wrong with the leg. So all we have to do is, with this controller selected, open the effect controls and uncheck the clockwise. Now the movement should be good. Okay, now for the arms, we are going to repeat the same process. We have all the anchor points in place, so we're going to take all the right arm layers and click again on front leg arm. Now in this case, the shoulder should be the right shoulder, the forearm is the right arm, and the hand, of course, is the right hand. So click OK, and we now have this controller. So if I move this, the robot will move the arm too. You can see that the movement is very nice. Okay, now finally for the left hand, you can solo it if you want, and click again from front leg arm, the shoulder, the arm and the hand. Click OK, and we have this movement now. Okay, so this is pretty cool. This is all the rigging we are going to need. Now all we need to do is to parent everything that we can. For example, the right shoulder should be attached to the body. In this case, the water can should be attached to the right hand, so that when we move this right hand, the water can will move as well. And of course, the water droplets should be attached to the water can. The left thigh should be attached to the body. The left shoulder attached to the body. And the head should be attached to the body too. Now for the head, we're going to change the anchor point to this lower middle part, because we're going to rotate it. So if we're going to rotate it, we want the movement to be like this, as natural as possible. So as you can see, this rigging, this character rigging is way easier than the character before, because we have selected the auto rig, and that pretty much it. All we need to do is to select the right layers and change the anchor points, and the plugin will do the rest. Now we have to repeat this process for all these characters: the vacuum cleaner, the dust cleaner and the broom. Now the process will be exactly the same for all these robots, so I don't need to go over this rigging part again, because they are exactly the same for the rest of them. On this one, for example, just take the anchor points to the right place and select auto rig, and that will be it. So I'm not going to rig all the characters. I'm going to rig them, but I'm not going to go over this again on this final project, because this is a very simple process and is exactly the same as we did with this one. So when you finish rigging the character, you will have these controllers: the left hand controller, the right hand, the left foot and the right foot. So that will be it for the animation part. Now on the next lesson, I'm going to teach you how to create a walking cycle for this robot. Let's go.